I'm joined here today by the one and only Brandon, the Truth Vera, set to fight UFC veteran Arjan Bhullar coming up real soon at One Championship Infinity 2. Thank you for joining me, man. How are you?
No worries, but I cannot complain. Life is good.
For sure, man. I assume right now you're out in the Philippines, right?
We are actually in Guam right now. We got to leave the Philippines the day before the lockdown, and we've been doing quarantine and training here at the farm in Guam.
And so was that a strategic move? Like you planned that on purpose to go out to Guam before the lockdowns?
Uh, I don't want to say strategic. It just kind of happened. Like we had our we had our OBGYN appointment that day,
Ah,
and a SAR doctor talked to him about the baby and how we're going and what's going on and COVID.
yeah.
And right when we asked him about COVID, he said, "Hey, you know, if you guys can leave Manila, I would leave."
Yeah.
We looked at him, we're like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you guys should probably just get out of Manila if you can." And we were like, "To the province or to Guam?" He said, "Oh, you guys can go to Guam? Yeah, go to Guam."
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So right when we left, like on the way out of his office, we booked tickets and left that day, literally that evening.
Oh yeah. It's a crazy situation where your doctor is telling you that you need to get out of there.
Yeah, man. Well, he was explaining to us because everybody's finding out now, but when an infected person with COVID-19 tests positive, every single healthcare professional that came in contact from the front desk to the nurses to everyone has to be put on automatic quarantine. So the hospital was already working at skeleton crew when we asked him this question because I guess they didn't have any positives yet, but they were testing already. And then, when somebody gets tested, until the tests come back, everyone's quarantined.
Right.
So he said, Brandon, just to be safe, Nanja, you guys, yeah, get out of here if you can, and basically follow the doctor's orders as well.
For sure. What's your situation right now? Are you quarantined, only able to leave for like groceries and training? I mean, what's your situation currently?
We're not leaving for training. I'm not training with anybody right now. I have a pregnant boss here at the house, and kind of important to not be messing around with this virus,
Right.
and I don't want to spread it around to anyone. I'm not worried about my immune system at all. Man, we've been dealing with this kind of stuff, everything that you can catch or have in the gym, so my immune system is probably ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
But being a carrier and passing it around is something I want to avoid. So we've just been training here, everything from TRX to jungle training to cleaning up to doing sprints, running around. We're out in Guam. We're in the farm, so there's nobody around. When I go run, it's nobody around except
Yeah.
Booney Dogs.
So listen, I mean, you mentioned the pregnancy and everything. I talked to Andre Yule a few days ago, who said he won't be there when his wife gives birth in the hospital room and everything like that. Are you in a similar situation yourself?
No, I am not in a situation where I will not have to make that decision. My whole life revolves around um, me being there for my child. So even if there was an event that night, I would probably be there until the 11th hour when I had to show up to the arena for our
Yeah.
world title defense. It's just something that's been very important to me, along with the fact that I should have never been able to have children. It's a big deal. Everything from the process that we went through, from the IVF to just man being 5 months and 2 weeks today. It's always, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it other than, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how to explain it. It's just very important to me. Usually I'm not at a loss for words, man, but I really am right now. I don't know how to explain it. Holy ish.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we can understand that for sure. It's a big deal. Listen, let's
Yeah.
let's talk about your fight a little bit. Obviously, you're fighting UFC veteran Arjun Bhullar, man. What are your thoughts on him as you head into this fight?
No, Arjan Monster. He's a great wrestler. And then on top of his wrestling, He's been hiding it. He's a great, amazing boxer, man. Everybody
Yeah.
talks about his wrestling, but his boxing is phenomenal. He's got great head movement, ringmanship, great ringmanship because he doesn't stay in trouble. Man, he's a great athlete, all around well-to-do athlete. I understand why he's been doing so well. He's definitely somebody that is worth facing for the world championship. He is of caliber. He's a monster, and he trains at AKA with those boys. Come on,
Right.
you kidding me? The lineage over at AKA is just like Alliance. There's world champions almost at every weight and every place and every show on the earth.
Right. And so, listen, you're one of those guys you often talk about, the people that go from the UFC over to one championship. Obviously, you're one of the first to do it. Were you surprised, like many people, when he went from UFC all the way over to one?
No, not at all. When Arjan first came over, I remember I met him. We were at a conference, I believe. Him and his wife. I don't remember if the baby was here. I think the baby was there. And, he was asking me, how is it really here at one? Is it really like this all the
Ah,
time? And I told him, man, I said, there's no honeymoon phase. Like, how it is here is how it is here. I would love to have you here because we need more heavyweights.
right.
Next thing I know, Arjan's coming over, making noise and ready to come beat me up and challenge me for the belt.
But that's
So
kind of
I knew he was coming over. I was very excited about such a talented prospect coming over and challenging me for the belt, trying to be another heavyweight world champ over here. And I love it. It's growing. One championship is growing so fast, and I'm glad that people are over here.
yeah, but that's gotta be a weird thing for you though. You're at a conference. You're telling a guy to come sign at one championship so he can eventually fight you. I assume there's gotta be a little bit of awkwardness there.
Nah, no awkwardness. This is my job.
Yeah.
Man, everybody thought it was going to be awkward between Ung and I on our
Right.
last event. That wasn't awkward. It was amazing. Nah, I don't hold grudges. I don't hold anything. When we shut that door to the circle, yes, it's our job. It's my passion. This is what we do. This is why you told everybody you were going to show up tonight. So let's show the world.
And so you mentioned Arjun's wrestling, obviously his boxing, which you thought was underrated. But when it comes to you, how do you think you match up with all of that?
Hmm. I guess we will have to see when we meet
Oh,
up that evening. How do I think? I'm hoping to show everybody what I think of myself that evening.
there we go. So, but listen, off the top, I mentioned your nickname. It was The Truth, which is obviously very similar. It's the same nickname as former Celtic Paul Pierce. Is there any relation there for the nickname, or is that just is that your thing, completely different?
My thing completely different. I didn't know about the Celtic guy, Paul Pierce. That's older, huh? That's an older guy.
Yeah,
Older generation basketball?
yeah, retired. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Sorry. That's very cool though. I'm glad I'm not the first one to have it.
Yeah. But I guess that means you eventually need to fight him for the rightful owner of the nickname in that case.
Man, if he wants to, if he's still around, I'm game. Let's do it.
There we go. Brandon Vera calls out Paul Pierce. We've got all the clickbait titles. Thank you for that, man. But
This is
listen,
too cool.
you're seeing all these fights get canceled and everything. One championship, they're changing venues. They're trying to make things happen. How does that affect your training? Because I assume you have to prepare for the fight no matter what. But then I assume in the back of your mind, you also think maybe there's a chance it gets canceled.
Man, everything you just said.
Right.
Everything you just said is exactly correct. But that's why we do what we do, and that's why we don't complain. We love it, like the coronavirus is a bad thing for the entire world. But this mess, this panic, this lifestyle, this is what almost all athletes do day in, day out. They just stay home, they train, they don't really go out until they have something to do or they need to be somewhere. So it kind of fits in exactly into our lifestyle. The only thing that does suck is you can't go out when you do have that itch to go out. You can't go relax how you used to be able to relax. Because if there's people around, you have to leave.
Right.
So that's the only hard part. But other than that, and you don't have all the training partners because you
Yeah.
can't group together. But man, other than that, it's pretty simple. It's life as an athlete is normal. I think this is what most of us do anyways. I think we're most introverts.
Yeah.
I think.
But so how's this training camp going for you so far? Because you mentioned you're out in the farm, you have no training partners. I assume nutrition starts to get a little bit complicated at this point. How's this training camp so far for you?
Actually, nutrition has been really easy this camp, man.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much produce in the store right now. Everybody's buying everything else except the produce. So
Ah,
everything we're eating is vegetables or grilled something, rice or yams. Like we're eating really, really clean. It's very impressive. We don't think we've ever eaten this clean before being on Guam.
yeah.
So usually we come here and gain weight, but we're doing really well.
And so do you think like the difference in the camp, do you think that's going to make a difference when you're out in the cage fighting, or do you think at the end of the day it's all going to be similar?
I think at the end of the day, it's all similar. I've done camps where, man, I could literally not kick the entire camp, and I was limited to I was limited to movements, limited to rounds. I couldn't do much cardio, and everything turned out just fine. I'm not saying that this is how camp is or how it's
Right.
going.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man, I've been at one of the worst points before in my life for a camp, and I just believed in what we were doing and stayed game plan, and everything worked out fine. So I don't put much stock in how camps went or things that didn't go through or fell through during camp. I'm not that guy. I just take everything one day at a time and we just keep running forward with it.
All
We
right.
still
Now,
have a goal. I'm
yeah.
still the heavyweight world champ, and we need to stay the heavyweight world champ. So every time I'm training, that's the goal, no matter what I'm doing. The only time it kicks in that, man, what if this gets canceled? I'm doing all this for nothing. That always comes at the very end of the workout when I'm
Oh yeah.
breathing or about
Yeah.
to. Then I'm thinking, like, what are we doing? We're not even sure yet. But it's too late. You already got it in. You're done. Go home and just go back, shower, and sleep.
All right, listen, I have just one last question for you. Kind of an obvious one. I think you knew it was coming, but how do you see your fight with Bueller playing out come May?
Oh, for sure, the fight's not going to the judges. You know how I like to go, and you've seen him. He goes hard. He stays in the pocket just enough to tag you really well. So I'm going to try to keep him inside the pocket and tag him before he pulls out.
There we go. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the baby. Hopefully that goes well for you guys, and stay safe out there in Guam.
Thank you. I appreciate